Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 144 of Lost in Translation Mode. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watch Showdown in the Sand Zone.
Or The Warrior Beelzemon dances.
How did you not say Wario? That would have been so easy. It would be Wario. It'd be great. And Trouble in Paradise.
Or Heaven Zone, The Trap of Paradise.
And A Dark Cloud Over the Sky Zone.
Or The Dark Knight Digimon Arrives.
The Digman. For DigiNews this week, first up, of course, a week ago, Try Chapter 6 was released, and we've watched it, and we've given our episode on that. We have feedback to do with that episode in Postmon Pat, but we'll have it at the end of Postmon Pat, and you can just skip past it if you haven't actually watched Try Chapter 6 yet. And for NewsLatelymon, the podcast turned 3 in the 3rd, and I will be going digital tomorrow morning for discussion of Atmon Episode 6 and 02 Episode 6. So that'll be coming out probably in like a week or so whenever they have it out, because they're also a weekly podcast. And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode that we're watching this week is called Showdown in the Sand Zone, or The Warrior Beelzemon Dances. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Beelzemon?
Yeah.
The one from Tamers?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess there are two versions of this. A, the bad guys introduce Beelzemon to go fight the kids, which, I mean, the show has a history of just pulling out random Digimon to throw at them, so fair enough. That's an option. Otherwise, what was the first title?
Showdown in the Sand Zone.
Oh, that one's completely useless. Okay, we have Beelzemon dancing. I guess if Lilithmon is the bad guy, you can imagine dancing being a thing, but I can't get past the implication of dancing being positive. But I don't know how the kids would find a Beelzemon and become friends with it in the time. But it feels like that's the implication. Because it's like, they wouldn't describe the bad guy as a warrior, either.
I'm pretty sure they have in some titles before.
You think so?
Maybe. It sounds familiar, but I might be wrong.
Like, I'm looking off to the side of this one and I'm seeing, like, Taiki is the warrior of the goddess, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when I compare that over there, I'm like, oh, well, warrior Beelzemon, they seem related somehow.
Okay, right.
I like the idea of the Angemon or whatever it was that led the Warriors of Light. Like, he never died. He just evolved and didn't tell anybody, because that seems like a really Digimon thing to do.
Yeah, that is a bit Digimon, isn't it?
It is just crap enough to be Digimon-esque.
So you think it's Angemon back from the dead?
I don't really think it's that, but like, I can't positively put my opinion behind anything specifically. I just feel like Beelzemon's going to be a good guy, and I cannot figure out how it happens.
Right. I mean, we've previously seen another Digimon from Tamers, which is Crusadermon, and he has a different design. Do you think this Beelzemon will have a different design?
Wait, Crusadermon was in this?
Yeah, Crusadermon was the one who was giving Blastmon the hug. It was one of Kiriha's Digimon. He looks really different. Like, he looks like a squid thing instead of, like, a machine thing.
I literally feel like I have to look this up, because I have... Okay, so Crusadermon was the pink one before, right?
Crusadermon was the one that Rio had. The angry monster friend.
Lord Nightmon.
No, not Lord... No.
Are you saying the wrong word?
Did I say... I'm saying the wrong...
Are you saying... Do you mean Millenniumon or something?
I mean Cyberdramon.
Yeah, okay.
It's been a long
now
day.
I can envisage it now. Okay. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't put it past them to change the design either. It's weird, because they crib designs from a lot of places.
Yeah.
But at the same time... Okay, here's the thing though, right? Beelzemon, to be a good guy, needs a design change. Like, he's always looked really evil. That's the problem. Also, he's named after the devil.
Yeah.
So, yes, he would need a design change. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up with, like, a similar, just, like, weird cyberpunky change. Like, just bolt technology onto him until you can't see all the evil anymore.
Right. Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
Um, a lot of time-wasty fights, mostly. Like, it's the showdown, right? So it's... And I remember them being, like, surrounded or something at the end. So everyone's going to be trapped, and they're going to be doing a big fight, and then, I don't know, I assume it's going to be really stupid. I know that's a really generic Digimon thing to say, but it's going to be annoying to watch.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
Not particularly. I think it's going to be mostly really boring.
And what rating will you give it?
Like 5. Like, it's... Like, I said this the other day, the strict 5 is way worse than a 0 or a 10. Because
it just means meh.
Yeah, and now that doesn't... Obviously, I use 5s a lot looser in Digimon context, where 5 is acceptable. But in this situation, I think it's 5 is going to be boring. Like, it's functional, but nothing else.
And that's like, seems to be what a lot of your predictions for Cross Wars are. Like, oh, it'll be functional, or it'll... Because Cross Wars is a little bit generic. It's actually enjoyable. Like, well, I'm enjoying it. But no, it's... I can see it being functional, generic anime.
I think the problem is that it's retreading the same ground over and over again. Whereas, like, it set itself up with a really interesting concept and character motivations, and then decided, you know what we're going to do? Never address them again.
Right. So filler or not filler?
I guess if they're getting a new friend, it can't be filler.
Have we had any filler this entire season?
We've had things that are more or less filler. Like, it's... I think I described this problem as well with Frontier, was the idea that, like, 90% of your episode is pointless, but if 10% has a point to it, you can't technically call it filler. The fact that these little...
For memory, I think we said the same thing about some of the 02 episodes. It was like, something happens,
Yeah.
like nothing really happens except for they get a Digimental.
That was it, because they had infinite evolutions. That's what that was.
Yeah, so you're right. It was like a lot of the Royal Knights arc. So because every episode was just kind of like they go to a place and Royal Knights eat a thing.
No, the difference of the Royal Knights arc was that the conclusion of every single one was the same, but they ate a different place. But unlike evolutions, where you have to evolve all the Digimon individually, you don't need to eat every place individually. That stuff can happen off screen.
Yeah, they could have easily said, "Oh, the Royal Knights have eaten this zone and this zone."
Exactly.
Right. The second episode that we're watching this week is called Trouble in Paradise, or Heaven Zone, the Trap of Paradise. What do you think will happen in this episode?
I have almost no clue. They're in a heaven zone. Alright. I'm just trying to think of Digimon that would fit the zone.
Does it help if I tell you that this is the one that you saw in Sydney?
Is this the one with the judge?
Yeah.
Is this the one with Christopher Walken? No, Christopher Walken was the other one. Is this the one with
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger judge? Okay. Alright. Cool. I was going to guess a different Digimon entirely, but fair enough. Now we know. And there's, like, going to be a big, stupid court case where the judge is presumably evil, and the kids are falsely accused, but Taiki's not much of a lawyer, so it's going to be really hijinks until they get sick of it and they fight and win, or whatever. You know how it is.
Right, so usual Digimon stuff that they resolve things with the fight.
That is correct. Because that's how it always be.
Do you think anything will annoy you?
That my other guest isn't real.
Right.
Which you haven't heard yet, but fair enough.
Yep.
Just be sad about it, even though you haven't asked me what it is yet.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, like, think about Angel Digimon, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Angemon's already been taken. What's the only other one available?
Angelmon?
Doesn't count.
Ordinamon?
That's new and that also definitely doesn't count.
It's just her butt.
I guess. I'm talking about rehashing stuff from Frontier again.
Okay, so you're talking about Lucemon?
I am. That seems like a thing to bring in. I mean, because you've got Lilithmon coming around, Lucemon seems, and Beelzemon, like, they seem to be pulling out all the things. Now, I'm expecting it more to be like a Piximon situation. I don't think you can do Lucemon being the bad guy twice in a row. But, like, I thought that, like, they'd bring one in for Heaven Zone when I sort of heard the name. But, I guess not.
Right. And
if they're doing the judge instead.
I mean, Do you remember Lucemon being in this episode at all from when we watched in Sydney, or were you two asleep?
Dude, I saw like 2 minutes of it at most. Probably more like... Because all I remember of the Ice Devimon one was literally that 15-second span inside the castle.
Yeah, because I woke you up just to show you the Christopher Walken.
And I think it's like that with the judge one. I like remember one bit where the judge was talking, and I remember laughing at it, and then going back to sleep.
Yeah, well, that's fair. So do you think anything will annoy you now I've let you finish your thoughts? I know I already asked you that question.
It's going to annoy me when Lucemon doesn't show up.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be a good episode then?
You know what? Since it has the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice in it, the English one will be better.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be decent. I think that you can do an interesting story with the setup.
Right. So it's like that episode of Frontier, which was only better because it had the Ice Devimon Christopher Walken, and that was the only reason why it was good.
Absolutely. Except that was this season, and the last one didn't have Christopher Walken in it, I don't think.
Yeah, it did. No, Frontier did. Yeah, Frontier had Christopher Walken.
Unbelievable.
In the dub. It was the one where Ice Devimon, like, imprisons them, I think, and freezes them, because that's apparently all Ice Devimon does whenever he shows up.
It's in his name.
The one where he wasn't Christopher Walken was Tamers, and he was, I believe... I think he was
voiced by... Ice Devimon
by...
in Frontier as well?
Pardon?
Wait. Oh, yeah. The one where he was, like, really serious.
Yeah, he kidnapped Ruki. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was terrifying. So, what rating?
Like, a 7. I'm pretty optimistic about it. Mostly because of the funny accent.
Yeah. Filler or not filler?
I mean, they're in a new zone, but it could be filler. Yeah, sure, it is filler. Because that's not a problem that lends itself to, like, new stuff happening. That is a problem that lends itself to hijinks and then the episode being over. And then the real problem, like, presenting itself next episode.
Right,
Continue.
And that seems to be what the zones are kind of like, when they just sort of... They go through, hey, this is the zone, and then they introduce a threat at the end.
Must be easy to write a show when you can just do that over and over again.
True. The third episode we're watching this week is called A Dark Cloud Over the Sky Zone, or The Dark Knight Digimon Arrives. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Batman.
Okay.
Because the Dark Knight?
Right.
No? Okay, fine. That's just for me. Okay, so... obviously the bad guys show up and it becomes a legit problem. Who's the Dark Knight? I would have gone with that Digimon from the beginning, but he's dead now.
Which Digimon from the beginning?
One of the generals is like a knight, but he died. Neptunemon?
Oh, right, yeah.
He's dead though. So who else is left? Because like I would still think they're fighting Lilithmon, so you'd think she'd show up, but that doesn't sound right. Unless it's like a minion of hers? That'd make more sense. Some kind of Lilithmon minion, but she's the bad guy.
Right.
That makes sense.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I have so little here. Like, I guess... what will annoy me is that, like, the entire court case, none of the residents of the zone, like, think about it anymore. They don't have any reaction to it. Like suspected murderers or whatever it is. I assume that murder is what everyone goes to when they do court cases. It's not like breaking and entering. It would be nearly as interesting, even though the kids would totally do it by accident.
Yeah, well, that's what all heroes do, right? They constantly break and enter because they're the heroes.
That's what Link does.
So, good episode, and what rating?
6.
Okay, so that's not terrible.
Exactly.
That seems to be like the standard Cross Wars rating, is that you seem to be giving a lot of 6s, which is good. It could be better, but you're giving a lot of 6s to the episodes we're watching. Yeah,
it's better than, like, the worst stuff in Digimon. What a high bar.
On a scale from, like, 0-2 to Frontier to Try, how do you rate this? That's the badness
Frontier
scale.
Frontier is the worst one, not 0-2. What?
Yeah, I meant Frontier, 0-2, then Try.
Oh, right, those are the three. Okay, so it is below Try, but above 0-2.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
By the way, let's be honest, Try is disappointing, but it is competently made.
I'm noticing the funniest trend in the Digimon fandom. We used to get like, oh, please more adventure, and now we've had try. No one wants any more adventure ever again.
It's okay. Bring back Atmon. That's what I want.
Yeah, but what if they Digimon
I feel like I
Adventure
would
try
watch
it?
that one independently.
Atmon's good. I like Atmon.
Yeah.
So filler or not filler?
It won't be because the bad guy actually shows up and the real problem shows up, and
Right.
presumably that means things will progress, such as
Okay.
preparing to beat Lilithmon finally.
Any other predictions?
No, we've been doing it for a long time, man. I've said some stuff.
Yeah.
I've put in work this week.
I'm very happy. As for the writers, we won't be doing that because it's more or less just like
Same
writers
guy.
of previous episodes or future episodes.
Thank God. All right, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess on to the show. This week we'll be reviewing all 3 episodes as one episode. So episode 14 starts off with Taiki wanting to save Baalmon, and this is continuing on from episode 13, where Baalmon was basically just murdered by Lilithmon. Pheromon tells him to release the power of the Code Crown.
So,
And yep,
this special Code Crown power, do all the Code Crowns have this and they've just never bothered?
they've never been told to do it.
But, like, when they get the one for the Sky Zone, presumably eventually, did that have a super special power? Or is it
I
just the
don't know.
desert one that can get the Resurrection Pyramid?
Well, I guess spoilers for like when we discuss the next episode in like half an hour, or the episode after rather.
It's not spoilers, they're listening to the show because they've already watched them.
Presumably. So in that episode, when he uses the Code Crown to release the darkness in the town, so maybe each Code Crown can release some hidden thing that's in that zone, but no one ever tried before. See, if this was Atmon, they would point it out and say, hey, how come this zone does this and the other one's don't? Like, oh, well, they can, you just never tried.
Apparently it was common knowledge if you're a pharaoh.
Yeah,
Also,
he
side
just-
note, how come the pharaoh who had this Code Crown didn't just do it before to resurrect all the Warriors of Light?
Wasn't relevant to the script then.
Well, it was, because they all died. That makes it relevant.
Also, maybe this is a new thing, I don't know.
It's not new, they said that it went away for a while. But that doesn't make any sense, because he had the Code Crown the entire time.
True. Maybe it was different. Maybe it could not resurrect like 20 of them, but it can resurrect one.
Yeah, resurrect
also-
Angemon.
Also, it clearly needs the power of the crossloader.
No, it doesn't.
Why
That
is
was just
Taiki there?
Taiki's only there to download the information because it's confusing.
Yeah, no, you mean the information's needed to download because he has the crossloader, and that's how they resurrect him. And
Yeah,
otherwise,
but-
they wouldn't be able to resurrect him. So
It's
clearly,
just- it's the only way that
clearly Taiki was not there for the Warriors of Light, right?
No,
So
it's just
that's what-
because that's the only way humans can download things. Because think about what the thing was actually doing. It was just scanning the pages of a book.
Yeah, but clearly he was needed because otherwise he would have joined in the fight. And why? If Baalmon didn't need Taiki, why was Taiki there?
Well, what happens before? What did the pyramid do before there were kids with crossloaders around?
It did nothing. It needed the power of a crossloader, I'm guessing.
Then why
Or
did they say, oh, the pyramid of resurrection? We haven't had that for a while.
Maybe crossloaders are an ancient thing. Maybe a lot of people have had crossloaders before. Maybe Digimon have had access to crossloaders before.
No one says that.
I don't know.
It's an interesting leap of logic to make.
It actually does make sense. It went like even
If,
if
assuming
think
you
about
use
it.
nothing that you see in the show.
Yeah, I'm using things that are in the show. Taiki.
No, you're
is
not.
using- Taiki uses his crossloader.
I'm talking about before that there
Yeah,
are
but-
other kids around and that there's a history of humans with crossloaders. There's no evidence in the show for that.
No, but there's evidence to show that to use the resurrection, you need the crossloader. And
Nope,
but
but
you-
the
but you're-
circumstantial evidence is that you don't, because there had to be times before the Taiki showed up that they
Jay,
could have been used.
Your question was why did they use this to resurrect the Warriors of Light? And my answer was, and this is shown in the show, Taiki needed to be there, used to download the information from that book.
But it seems strongly implied that he doesn't as well,
So
because
why
he
is he
got
there?
used before he was there.
Well, but
That's a
he's
really good
there.
question. That's a really good question. It's
I don't
almost like
know.
they didn't think it through.
I think it's fine. Anyway, so we get a callback to something we learnt about Zenjiro fairly on in the show, and he's scared of high places when he gets rocketed up in the air by the pyramid.
Would not believe they called back that element of his character.
It's so great. It's like they're remembering things about characters. I really appreciate this. A giant pyramid is formed. In the dub, there's lots of added dialogue where Angie points how there are a lot of flying pyramids, and then, oh, now there's just a giant flying pyramid. In the original, it's just silence, basically, and background music. So yeah, Baalmon goes on the altar, and it's the Pyramid of Resurrection.
It's also not a pyramid, it's a ziggurat.
Pheromon tells Taiki to put the power of the goddess into Baalmon, and this is the power of the goddess that was already given to him, and he's downloading it from his crossloader. Then we see that the Digicross gets undone when this happens because it needs all the power of the crossloader, and then we see that there's a barrier, and the Scorpiomon can't get through this barrier.
It also boots all the other Digimon who are inside it out of it.
Yeah, and that's how much power this needs.
Well, more like it needs storage space.
Yeah. Lilithmon brings out a Mugendramon, and this Mugendramon has a pink band, because that's...
Which means it's a female.
Yeah, that clearly means that it's a female Mugendramon, so it's my favourite.
Did you write this episode?
Yeah, I wrote this episode. I'm sorry, I was trying to keep it a secret from you for so long that I'm actually one of the writers in Cross Wars.
Is that why we skipped the writers in Obnoxious Synopsis? Because you didn't want to say it was by you?
Yeah, it just says Mayfisher guest. I wrote this when I was 17 years old, so I'm still attached to that pink band, apparently. Taiki says that the team has to fight without the crossloader. In the dub, Jeremy says that it must be his dial-up connection, and in the original, he just says he'll take charge. In the dub, he's like, oh, it means I get to take charge, and it's just like... It's got a different tone. In the original, it's just like I will take charge. It's what I have to do. You know, it's my duty to the team. Taiki is busy. I will stand up, and he's sort of volunteering like I will help. In the dub, it's just like, yeah, I get to take charge. And it's oddly reminiscent of Davis in 02 for some reason. In the dub, I mean. In the original, it's fine.
Reminiscent of Matt picking up those goggles, being like, yes, finally.
Yeah. Shoutmon's mad at Taiki for basically saying, I can't fight, none of you can Digicross, I have to revive this guy who tried to kill us before. And meanwhile, Zenjiro is trying to give commands, but the Digimon are more or less ignoring him, which is kind of cute. He's just like, okay guys, do this, oh, I guess you can do that, it's fine. In the dub, he's a lot saltier about being ignored though. In the original, he's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess you can do that, it's fine. Like, he's more just there because he wants to help rather than he's there because he wants to take charge. And that's the point I was making before about the difference between the Jeremy and Zenjiro is that, like, Jeremy wants to be in charge. Zenjiro will just step up if he needs to.
But, like, just kind of being cool with being ignored, doesn't that... It does make him much more forgettable, which is why they had to give him character traits in the English, because they realized there's really nothing to this guy.
I think he's fine in the original. I mean, like,
yeah,
yes,
he's
you're right.
Fine. There's nothing to him. He is fine. He is acceptable.
He's on the bland side in the original, but they sort of... I don't know, they make him annoying in the dub.
True, but annoying is a character trait.
Yeah, but he's not meant to be, like, a character. He's meant to be, like, a side dude.
How dare they give him a character?
Yeah, good point. At least he also plays video games, and they are really inconsistent with whether or not they're going to reference video games, because I feel like sometimes they can go episodes without referencing it, and then another time that they'll just reference it, like, 5 times an episode. Oh, this is, like, the level in this made-up video game. Mugendramon starts eating the barrier, and Shoutmon's getting pretty salty that they're losing because of Baalmon. Baalmon tells Taiki to stop because he's useless and not worth the goddess's power. Taiki says that Baalmon is his friend, and he won't give up on him because he saved him. Shoutmon overhears this and is suddenly motivated and wants to save Baalmon. Mugendramon is still too strong for the others. Shoutmon shows up and bonks Mugendramon in the face, and it does absolutely nothing, and this is quite a funny scene. And
he's so proud of himself.
I feel bad for Shoutmon, because like, he's like, yeah, I did it. Don't doubt the shout. And then, like, 5 seconds later, he's just being, like, Mugendramon just sort of pops him away, like, baps him on the head. It's funny. I like Mugendramon. Everyone attacks Mugendramon and basically gets beaten, like, straight away. Baalmon
the fact that they're not dead exposes the business.
Yeah. Baalmon grabs his crossloader and wants Taiki to stop. Mugendramon basically wants to eat all the teammates because he's drooling over all of them. And Baalmon's talking to Taiki about how he can't lose his teammates as well. Then Baalmon realizes the power isn't what makes a warrior. Power is used for friends, and the bond makes the light of the warrior. Taiki makes Cross 4 Knight, and Mugendramon also evolves and becomes High Mugendramon, basically changes
High
to red.
Mugendramon.
But the thing is, a red Mugendramon already exists as a stronger form, and it's Chaosdramon, and it is amazing.
Does it? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Chaosdramon. It's just basically a really aggressive, scary, pointier version of Mugendramon. He's one of my favourite Digimon. But I'm surprised that they didn't use Chaosdramon, because Chaosdramon is a lot more menacing looking than just a red Mugendramon. It's also more of an upgrade. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't look like much of an upgrade. It looked like a paint job. It went slightly faster.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, Chaosdramon is not just a paint job. Like, it's like, imagine Mugendramon, but spikier. Like, everything is pointy, and he looks more like an evil dragon. I think the story behind him is that he's a corrupted Mugendramon. He's evil, basically.
Obviously.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Chaosdramon ever shows up in any of the anime, but he is in Digimon Next. I love him.
You love all Digimon though, so it's not really a high
do.
bar.
I love all Digimon that ever show up, except for the Pooh Digimon, but like even they have sort of their charm.
No, they don't.
Baalmon jumps in the way of an attack from Megendramon, and then Baalmon, as he's dying, asks if he's become a warrior of the goddess. Angemon says he has, and Baalmon starts to fade away. Then when Hymegendramon's going to attack Cross 4 Knight again, Baalmon's gun shoots at him, and then he's reborn as Beelzemon! In the dub, it's just straight up a reborn, like it's a rebirth rather than evolution, because he says that he wants to avenge his previous incarnation, which I find like is a really interesting like addition. That's like, oh, this isn't evolution. This is a Digimon being reborn. Like Baalmon has
He said that
died.
in both.
Yeah.
Like, that's not in English only.
Yeah, but the dub states it more.
How much more can they state it?
I feel like it's just sort of hinted in the original, like that he doesn't actually
No, he
straight
says
up
the
say.
word. I'm fairly certain he says, like, that was my previous incarnation, which I just thought was him, his understanding of what happened.
I was pretty sure that was only in the dub, but I might be wrong. So together they beat Hymegendramon, and Beelzemon is nowhere to be seen afterwards, because he's a tsundere now, apparently.
Jesus, can we talk about how Machine Dramon has, like, actual flesh under the armor?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I always thought he was a machine.
I would assume he's like Andromon. Remember how Andromon has that scary, like, bits of meat behind him? Like, it's like a little bit horrifying in a way.
Very.
I know. I really like Mugendramon. Revolmon joins Crossheart, and then Lilithmon gets really mad, and she says she'll send them to the worst zone. And then she does. And at the end of the episode, we get Digimelody of Mad Leomon. Do you remember Mad Leomon from, the start?
Only very vaguely.
Well, now you have his Digimemory if you have the that Crossloader toy. So then, episode 15 picks up at the end, and I'm pretty sure I said this in Obnoxious Synopsis, but I think this is the episode that you watched in Sydney all those years ago.
Boy, was it.
And did you remember anything as you were watching it?
No. That's
True.
what I remember.
What else would there be to remember, right?
There really isn't. It's actually incredibly distracting. He keeps saying stuff the way I would say it if I was imitating Arnie. I could list their crimes all day, because it's fun! He throws in the extra grunt noises for no reason. You're going to jail. Why did he open with that?
Because that's his character now, apparently, right?
It's not a character, it's a voice.
So, just before Team Crossheart shows up, we see that a /Angemon, and by /Angemon, I mean the dub thinks this is too violent and changes to /Angemon, because...
I thought that was a pronunciation issue.
No, that they write his name, like, when they introduce him as a character, and the original it's /Angemon, but in the, on the screen that pops up, it says /Angemon in the dub. So it's like Agumon, but this is actually how they say his name.
Why wouldn't they just change the word? They change for everything else.
True. I guess it's like they were like, this one's too violent. He's made out of knives. Guys, what do we call him? Change his name to Slash. Like, okay, that seems like a good idea. Nothing better? Okay. Well,
Is there a metal Angemon?
No.
Why wouldn't they just do that?
Because Slush, I guess...
Sloosh.
But like...
Sloosh.
Real talk, slush is like when the snow starts melting, that's slush. Or, the slushy. What does slush mean?
I hearing it makes me think of snow.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, yeah.
Well, it's just slushy is like a sweet drink, but fair enough.
Nope, it's just a knife angel, apparently.
It's the best kind.
Apparently.
Is that German? Slausch must be knife angel in German.
Does it?
I don't know. German seems like the sort of language that have a single word thing for knife angel.
Okay, true. I'm not even going to look that up. We're just going to say that that's fact now. We invented a German word, if it's not true then. Okay, cool. Team Crossheart show up, and they comment about how peaceful the whole world is. Or this zone is, rather. Beelzemon shows up and says, I will protect you. I'm like, aww, he's a tsundere friend now. Darulamon points out that he must be able to move through the digital airspace, and I'm really glad they pointed that out, because otherwise it would have been they don't explain why, but I'm glad that they at least said, he's able to travel between the digital airspace because we told you a couple of episodes ago that Digimon can't. Shrug. So, Jay, does this possibly answer your question about how the Dark Masters of this season, or the Evil Generals rather, are able to travel between zones?
Doesn't feel like it.
Well, at least we know that one of them could.
I mean, one of them can send other people, but I don't... I don't get how they did that. And Beelzemon can just do it too.
Yeah,
And
but at
they
least...
make a point of that in the English. I can just go around places, don't worry about it.
Oh,
As if the English writers were like, hold on a minute,
no,
how
no,
did you
Jay.
get there?
Sorry,
Yeah?
I'm not sure if my audio cut out. I'll just repeat what I said. Darullamon points it out in the original, and I was just congratulating them on actually explaining something.
What was the exact mechanism? Because I do not remember.
Darullamon says, "Oh, it looks like he must be able to move through the digital airspace."
Oh, because that's doesn't mean anything to me. Because like I know I watched it and I got that and I'm like, oh, that's them saying, oh, he did it somehow, which is
Yeah,
the same thing as saying, what's he doing here, more or less.
Yeah, but I'm glad that they pointed it out, because otherwise it seems like they wouldn't care about, oh, remember that thing we told you a couple of episodes ago about how Digimon aren't able to go between the zones? Oh, this one can.
But I always thought
like
the
it.
primary issue was that you can't even open the door in the first place, and that's what you need the code crown for. And then you need a crossloader to save them when you're in that space. But to open the door in the first place, you need the code crown. So how did Lilithmon open the door to Heaven Zone without the Heaven Zone code crown?
Yes,
Wait, no,
I know.
it doesn't work that way.
I know,
Without the
no,
Desert Zone code crown.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying before. But never mind.
What? No, I don't understand you. You didn't.
No, I was saying that exact thing before about how maybe the Dark Generals are able to. Anyway, Taiki falls and Shakuramon rescues him and says how paradise isn't always as it seems. Then he floats off. And I love his voice in both versions. The
English is
better.
awful.
I think it's cute. He's like,
Beep boop, I speak in rhymes now.
I think it's just
really
because it's
annoying.
in English and it's weird. But no, I really like it. But it's interesting to not hear Patamon and Armadimon's voice.
Yeah, it is. Also, because we already had a voice for this character once, so it's weird hearing a different one.
I like the original.
Well,
it's
it was
got, like, that high-pitched voice.
I guess it was easier to deal with. And it wasn't just like this isn't paradise. It's like this paradise is more than a paradise, which is it sounds like a vacation slogan, but then obviously it's an incomplete sentence, really.
Yeah, but in the
it is also like a prison or something.
Yeah, in the original he says paradise isn't always as it seems, and I like that line. And also it's very ominous.
We have different translations because that's not what it said.
I'm watching the fan sub, and you're watching the Crunchyroll version.
So well, there you go. Okay.
We find out that this zone is floating. Don Dokomon sees Puchimon, who, by the way, is Wormmon's armor evolution, with his actual Digi-Egg, the Digimetal of Kindness. I just thought that was interesting. And Don Dokomon joins in, and the Puchimon look offended and stop, because it's a bit different, like this heavy percussion against beautiful, angelic string instruments.
It wouldn't be so bad if Don Dokomon like kept time or something, but he just
doesn't.
Goes off on his own thing.
He just gets so excited. It's so relatable. This episode is just Don Dokomon having a great time and no one appreciating Don Dokomon for the sweet angel that he is.
I actually kind of hate him now. He's so obnoxious and annoying.
I love him. I love all Digimon. The Piccolomon police show up and they tell him off for being on the grass, and Don Dokomon attacks him. Then all the Piccolomon attack and more show up and arrest him. Lucemon shows up and says that they don't know the laws because they're new, so they can't just punish them for laws that they don't know about. Then Gargoylemon attacks Lucemon. He's also voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the dub. Not really, but I wish he was.
So, this episode has a bunch of problems understanding really, really basic legal principles.
Yep.
Like, A, you can absolutely be punished for laws you don't know about.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not a defense. And then the entire trial later is incredibly confusing. Why do they let them go?
Also, they're executing them, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, but at the start of the episode, they're saying, "Oh, we will execute the Putimon," and in the dub, they're just punishing him. So they're trying to hold it off.
They start in media res, like from the beginning. I don't think there's ever any indication that's what's happening, though. So when it happens in the future, are you meant to think back? Oh, we must have caught up to the timeline. Or is it a thing where, like, because in the flashback one, the thing is actually electrocuted in the Japanese.
Yeah.
So does that mean that didn't happen? Or just the exact same situation has happened before?
No, it's just the same situation happened before. And I'm just assuming that Putimon, because they're little babies, just knock things over all the time while they're playing and they make mistakes, because they're babies. And
then they die.
Like, it's meant to show that, these kids are being kids, but because, kids are kids, that they'll knock over a lamp, because they're playing ball too hard in the lounge. It's just something that kids do. They don't mean to do it, but they're showing that there's no, that this police force will kill you even if you're young and make a mistake. Like, that's how ruthless they are. Lucemon explains to the Team Cross Heart that the police and everything's very strict in this zone. And he also says the Digimon here all love the arts. Lucemon says that the Code Crown has been sealed away. And that he's
That would have been really smart here.
Yeah.
For Lucemon to give them like a crash course and like, okay, here are the important rules. Here are the ones you should know about, because if you break them, you'll die.
But he didn't, because guess what? He's evil.
Yeah, I know it's true, but I don't buy this whole story. He had to, like, how long did he have to have been there for this to work? How many years has this been in the making? Like,
Maybe.
It had to literally, like, decades?
Maybe. We're not
It's
given
like-
a timeline.
It's horrendously confusing. And also we learn later that the presidential candidate decisions are random. So he had to do all this and then just wait for his name. Because presumably it's the incumbent president and then one random person. If there are, say...
No, I think I saw a few other hearts in the audience. On some of the audience members in the trial. I think I saw quite
Did
a few
you?
green hearts.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Random? They never make any point of that.
I know, I just think
okay.
there's a few candidates, but these are
I'll
just...
have to take your word for it because I don't remember that at all.
I'm really sure that I remember at least one or two, just in the audience at the trial, that just had the green heart pin on them. So, speaking of the heart, he explains that the heart in his chest will glow red, and that means that he has the majority support. Taiki sees Shakurmon, and Lucemon says that he's a spy, so he has to be careful. Dondokumon says he lost part of his drum, and then we see that he breaks a thing, and Gargolmon shows up and says that Dondokumon is a criminal because Dondokumon's drum piece is in the rubble.
Is
then
the
he gets
head of his
arrested.
drum thing not part of him?
No, it's like one of the taiko drums.
I know, but like he's a Digimon, right?
Mhm.
He's not actually a drum set.
Yeah.
So how did like it'd be like if my hands fell off.
Well, maybe it's because, like, you know when we have, like, Gargomon and Gargomon has pants? Like, he can probably take the pants off.
We don't know that. That is not necessarily true at all.
Better example, Tailmon takes her gloves off.
That is weird. But that's
Yeah.
always been weird.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, Digimon are weird. So they all get arrested, and Shakurmon and Beelzemon are both watching, doing nothing, but they're watching. Gargomon asks Taiki why he's in the digital world, and he offers them some DigiNoir. So he's trying to be the bad cop and the good cop at the same time.
I
And
guess.
also, DigiNoir just looks like really nice pasta.
No, it looks like how was it?
Cheerios.
Cheerios. It looks exactly like that.
I thought it was more like pasta, like the look of it, how it was sort of shiny.
Actually, it looks a lot like Cheezels, but without any of the orange dust on it.
I think I prefer it to be pasta.
I know what you prefer. It doesn't matter. They're clearly crunchy.
Are they though? Oh, I guess they were eating them like chips. I think there must be. You know how you can eat pasta raw?
No. Only you do that.
Yeah,
Let's not
because it's
pretend
delicious.
that anyone else is weird enough to do that.
Yeah, but look, when you're hungry and you're making pasta takes like a good 10 minutes to cook. But the texture of like raw pasta, yum. So I think there must be like some.
You
sort of
can just eat
chips.
plastic, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, but plastic doesn't taste nice. Anyway, so I think DigiNoir is something that like you can seem to boil or something, but you can also have raw.
It's clearly not. You take it out of the container and pour it into a bowl.
Well, it's like fruit, maybe. Like, you know how you can boil fruit and you can give it a different,
No, it's
like,
packaged
texture?
goods. They're Cheezels.
No, but it looks soft.
They're Cheerios. They do not look soft. They never
It
look soft. They clearly
in
look
the-
crunchy.
in
They
the
make crunchy
screen-
noises.
No, but when Gargomon presents the DigiNoir to them, it looks soft. It looks shiny and soft.
I completely disagree.
But when they eat them, they look like they're eating chips. So I think that must be something that you can cook. Also, I'm pretty sure it's steaming.
No, it really wasn't.
Like, when he gives it to them in the bowls, it looks more
I'm
like
pretty
it's-
sure you're imagining that.
It's been made into something. It's been, like, cooked.
It really hasn't. I'm like just telling you for serious.
We're spending a long time just talking about the food.
Yeah, because the rest of the episode wasn't that interesting.
It's fine. It wasn't terrible.
Like, try.
Taiki says that they have to find the criminal, and this is the real criminal, to avoid the death penalty. In the dub, he says erased, and whenever they say death penalty, it's either replaced by punished or erased.
Because that's different to being to dying, except like it still has to have some kind of threat to it, and it can't be jail because otherwise he would have already gone.
Yeah, well, they sort of did just go to jail, which Ballistamon now helps them break out of. Slash Angemon shows up, and Sloosh. In the dub, I noticed that his name title shows up again, even though we already had this at the start of the episode when he showed up, so he gets a name title twice for some reason in the dub. He says that they need the death penalty and will face public execution. In the dub, again, it's changed to erased. Lucemon speaks up during the trial, and says they need a trial. And then during the trial, Cupimon shows up and says that he's the one who broke the statue. Taiki stops the execution and says that
Okay, you're
nobody
skipping a lot of stuff here, and this is really important,
Oh, yeah,
especially
go
to
ahead.
me in my field of work.
Oh yeah,
So,
go ahead. You do the
these
law
kids
stuff.
have been arrested, right? And yeah, the
Yep.
primary charge is that they broke the statue, and that's a whole thing, whatever. Then Cupimon shows up and admits to it. Now, that's fine. They're off the charge of breaking the statue. That's cool. They did punch a bunch of police, though. And did the authorities just forget that?
Maybe.
Alright, well that was all the response I was expecting. Sure, let's continue.
Well, yeah, it's just sort of...
They just let them go. Like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever, it's fine. You did punch us a bunch of times.
Well, I think that Lucemon is, like, that motivating, maybe?
What? No, but, like, yeah, he's correct. They didn't break the statue. They broke other crimes. And he's like, oh, you need evidence. Yeah, the evidence is all the witnesses
Yeah.
who got punched.
They were still on the grass, and they still attacked the Piccolomon.
No, they attacked the Pixiemon.
Yeah.
That's the
and
same thing.
They broke out of jail. So yeah, you're right. There were still lots of crimes.
Death penalty.
I feel like this also went very quickly because I would like to remind you that, like, maybe 10 minutes ago, Gargoylemon attacked Lucemon, and now all of a sudden they're all on Lucemon's side. Everyone loves Lucemon all of a sudden. I don't know. So Taiki makes cross force so he can fight Angemon. You know, the good guys fighting the police force, basically, which I feel like should also be a crime. Beelzemon shows up and tells Taiki to digicross him with cross 4, making him cross 4B. And we get our first digicross character song, and it's called Cross 4B the Guardian.
This is the weirdest thing in the world. I'm like, it's not the weirdest thing in the world. It's just the subtitles in the Crunchyroll version. So they go cross 4K, right? Mm-hmm. There is a slight delay between saying cross 4 and K, and as a result, whichever idiot was doing the subtitling, obviously having never watched this show before, he has read it as cross 4, comma, okay.
Oh, whoops.
Like, they're really happy about it.
That's cute. Cross 4. All right. This feels like something to be in the dub.
Okay. You mean times 4K?
Yes, times 4K. As in the resolution.
I wonder how many weird, I wonder how long the code is going to be by the time we get to the end of the series. Like, it's me times 6KB 7825FGNM. Go!
This isn't a spoiler, but Cross 4 is the only one that has, letters at the end for some reason.
Boo!
So they're not just Cross 4 KB ABC.
I wish.
Lucemon tells Angemon to forgive Cupimon, and everyone is cheering for Lucemon, and his heart on the chest grows red, and Mon is there watching, and then at the end of the episode, Ancient Volcamon's the Digi melody. So if you wanted to get Ancient Volcamon on your Digicross, your crossloader, you can do that now.
I did vaguely remember you telling me about this. How, it scans that sound.
Yeah, because it's got a microphone and you pop it up. You know how in the show when he pops up the crossloader, you listen to that sound and you get the that Digimon. It's pretty cool, right? I think it's cool.
No, it's not cool at all.
It's cool if you're a tiny child, which I am.
Yeah, that's true, you are.
Admittedly. Then episode 16 starts and Angemon's apologising and he's saying, look, I wanted what was best for the zone. I got carried away with protecting everything and making sure everything was just and sticking to all the rules. Alright, you win the election. And then during the election process, Lucemon's not there, and it turns out that he's reading in a library, and he's studying.
Not the election process, the concession of the election, before the election even happened.
Yes.
Which is evidence. That's great evidence as to the idea that there's no other candidates, because how come only one person would need to concede?
But I'm 99% sure that we saw another green heart.
Wouldn't that person have to stand up and also say that they concede?
I think the only reason that Angemon has to concede is he's the current president.
But that's what elections are for. The current president can't just give it to whoever he wants and say, oh, we're not going to have an election. But he can if there's only one.
But I'm pretty sure that there was another green heart.
It seems to me that circumstantially there can't be.
Well, there was in the background, whether or not that was just an animation weirdness, but I'm pretty sure there was. I might be wrong, but I was pretty confident there was another green heart, at least one or two, maybe. So apparently Lucemon studies in the library every day, and he says, well, now I'm done, I've read every book there. And Shoutmon says the president's like a king, and he says that kings have to study, and he's inspired, and he's like, I don't want to study, but I will, because, I want to be king, and if that's what it takes to be king, I'll study. In the dub, he's just like, I don't want to study, this is bad news for me.
I kind of love that. I really like that one bit where later, I think it might be next episode, but I do like it just as we mention it now, when he's like, Lucemon's all evil, and he's like, I bet he didn't even read all those books. It's impossible, no one could have anyway.
So you kind of prefer how Shoutmon's like, want to study?
Like, it annoys me on one hand, but, I mean, he's gonna be that way either way,
Mm.
right? He was upset about all the books. So, at the very least, it gives you a character, and I would have liked it if they had stuck with that really hard line, he wants to be king and will do anything to get it, which it really bothered me when they said, oh, it's sealed away. Taiki goes, oh, well, it's peaceful here. I don't need the code crown anyway, because, we don't really protect it from anything. It's fine. And then Shoutmon was like, yeah, that's true. Shoutmon shouldn't be like, yeah, that's true. He wants the code crown anyway. Honestly, this whole bit with Don Dokimon shouldn't have been him. It should have been Shoutmon. And he should have actually broken the statue looking for the code crown.
Yeah, I would have liked that. Like, and he's trying to be a thief, and maybe the code crown goes missing or something, and then, like, he gets the blame for it, but it's just a kid who thought it looked shiny. I don't know. But no, I see your point.
There are other ways I think the story could have been much more interesting.
So Shakurmon is watching, and he's just like, And then we find out that he's the election administrator. And he takes the bracelet off /Angemon and puts it on Lucemon and says, I have no complaints. I think you're perfect. I was watching you. And then we get the Lucemon evil smiles, which is very reminiscent of Maki in the second chapter of Try, the evil smile.
Are you sure it's not reminiscent of Lucemon from that season there with the villain?
Yeah, but he was never, like, pretending to be, like, a good guy. When he showed up, he was just evil.
I guess.
So it turns out, surprise, surprise, Lucemon is evil. And then he says some releasing spell, and he releases the code crown. Then there's an earthquake, and Akari says, but how is there an earthquake? We are up in the sky. And this is a very good point, right? Like, they are up in the sky. Like, Akari is pointing out the obvious.
It's not much of a good point then, is it?
I know, it is a good point. Like, there shouldn't be an earthquake. She's correct.
I mean, it depends on how the structure of this little mini planet is. Like, it could have tectonic plates that are small. Or it could have an engine. I don't know how it stays up.
True. We find out that there's a temple in the middle, and then Lucemon changes to his original form, which is fall down mode. And Zenjiro says he looks like he has a big fan base, and it is my favourite line in all of Cross Wars now.
Is it because he has big wings and they're like fans? What do you mean?
No, because he's like gorgeous. Like, wow, that guy's Bishonen.
Not really.
In the dub, he says that he looks creepazoidal, which is not a word, by the way. I'm pretty sure. He says that he works for Lucemon, not Zenjiro. Then Dark Knightmon shows up with Nene. Dark Knightmon says, as you can see, I am but a noble. And the dub, Axe Knightmon says, you are in the way. And the dub writers, of course, are having a field day because you can't see Axe Knightmon's mouth, so he can talk a lot. He's quite quiet in the original because he's intimidating and scary and
menacing and mysterious, a thing that they could use more of.
Also, I have no idea why they changed his name to something more violent. Like, this must be a first for the dub. Meanwhile, we have /Angemon becoming /Angemon. Sloosh. And in this case, we have Dark Knightmon, perfectly fine. We have a Knightmon. He's Dark Knightmon.
Is this the year in which the Dark Knight Rises, or so Dark Knight Begins, or whatever, came out? Batman Begins. Wait, no. Oh, it's just the Dark Knight. Is this the same year as that?
The first Dark Knight came out when I was in year 9, so no.
Is it after that?
This is 2011. That's why I said I was 17.
Well, when were you in year 9 then?
Year 9 was in 2008.
Oh, so this is way after that. So, like, Dark Knight has implications. Maybe they didn't want to get, like, copyright sued.
I don't know. But now he's Axe Knightmon. What about Black War Knightmon?
Boo!
Black Knightmon.
Not even black.
He's grey. He's Grey War Greymon. He's the most Greymon.
Double grey. Earl
all the way across
Greymon.
the sky. Nene tells Taiki to sit back and watch so they don't have to fight. In the dub, she says for them to not interfere, and if it's a showdown he wants, then she is for it. So we have like a bit of a comparison, because in the original it's like she doesn't want to fight him, she just like just stay out of it. In the dub she's just like, we can fight, like don't interfere, but if you want to fight, let's fight. I know it's different. Like in the original she seems to actually like care. She's just like, hey, don't fight. I don't want to fight you.
I just want to go absorb this giant evil mist. Because you'll just stand by while I do that, right?
Basically. Then we have Dark Knightmon immediately being like one of the best and most successful and most intelligent bad guys in the show, because he says, hey, Shoutmon seems to be the center of Crossheart. Let's kill him. Like no one ever like suggests, except for like, I guess, I think Myotismon and Devimon both tried to kill, like, the ones who were, in part of the prophecy to kill them. So, I'm glad that Dark Knightmon is thinking forward here. Nene reloads Sparrowmon, and they go to the
Baalmon's
temple.
voice is too cute. What the hell? When it showed up the first time, and it was all menacing and stuff, it's meant to sound like a jet engine, and now it's like, "Hi, I'm Nene's best friend."
She's a bird plane. She eats diesel-flavoured birdseed.
That's weird.
It's a song by Axis of Awesome. They did 4 chords. Bird plane is actually in 4 chords. You've heard the song.
I have. Specifically the 4-chord song in which they do the bird plane bit at the end.
Yeah. Part of her's a bird, and the other part is a plane. She's a bird plane.
I can't wait for you to ask what I think of the design, and I get to say I think it looks really plain.
We
I
already
know.
actually spoke about her design, though, because she's the best Digimon.
It's not true at all.
We already know she has a cute voice, because when she showed up, she literally says, "Hey, Nene, can I kill this guy?" in her cute voice. I'm just like, oh, you can kill me if you want, Sparrowmon. I'll be your friend. I love you. I love Sparrowmon. She's my favourite. She's like my best friend. She's bird and also plain. I like her. A black aura's bringing all the Digimon down, and Dark Nightmon tells Nene to put him in the crossloader so she can try to absorb the darkness. Everything becomes evil because of the dark aura. And then there's something weird that happens in the dub. Slush Angemon says he was made evil from the evil ooze before, and that's why he was strict. And that's weird because in the original, everything needed to be strict, so nothing became evil. Like, this zone was said to be very easily corruptible. So if everything was really strict and like too good, nothing will get corrupted. So it's weird. It went from like everything was strict because of the evil to like everything is strict because of the evil. Like, not to like stop the evil, but the evil was making things too strict. I know it's a weird
it's really
change.
backwards that way. I don't like it either.
Yeah,
the
just
idea
like,
that he was just bad and like you can think you are just by enforcing laws without thinking about it, but then that's not the case, is a much more interesting message than I was evil the whole time. Don't pay attention to anything that happened. Take no lessons out of what I did.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just like, it's like whoever translated that was told, okay, everything is strict because of the evil zone. And they didn't ask any questions and they took their own interpretation, because you can take 2 things from that. Things are strict because it's evil and they want to keep it from being evil, or they're acting strict because of evilness. So you can take that 2 ways, but it's like they didn't actually like watch the episode and they're just like, that's why. And they didn't pay attention to it. I don't know. And we find out that's why it had to be perfect. Ballistamon stops Lucemon from flying away, and that's great. I like it when Ballistamon's useful. I love him. He's a tank.
Weirdly strong.
Yeah, he's a tank.
Not really.
Lucemon throws
truck.
a fireball at Crossheart, and Shoutmon catches in his mic, and it's great. I love it.
He like bats it back like it's a baseball. Super weird.
And then something I really like is that Shoutmon gets really mad because he disrespected what it is like to be a king and what it means to be a king. I know.
But he doesn't know. He's never been a king before.
I know, but I like that he has that sort of goodness about Shoutmon. It's just like, you were president, and that means king. And we seem to, like, every time he goes to a zone, he's just like, so this role is like a king. I must respect him. And it's such a cute little trait that he has. I love him.
So a president is like a king? No, you elect them. Boo, who would want that?
Taki makes Cross 4B, and he fights Lucemon, fall down mode, and defeats him, even though he comes back like 5 seconds later, but don't worry about that. Taki gets the code crown. Shakomon feels bad and tells them to go to the temple, and he transports all of them but Zenjiro for some reason.
I assume because he's the most useless. But they never make a point of it. And I thought they'd like cut to Zenjiro to make a joke, like, oh, what, not about me? I can be useful. And they just don't.
But actually, I feel like at this point, the show has told us that Zenjiro is more useful than Akari, because Zenjiro is able to wield a sword.
Yeah, but only when he has the sword, and Cross 4 Knight has the sword.
True, but I feel like he should be able to just cross another one, right?
Yeah, there should be enough Pikmons to make a second sword.
Or just like cross some, like maybe a pawn chessmon with another pawn chessmon. And he
make
gets
a spear.
like, no, he gets like a thing of armor and a big sword. I don't know. Could be cool. I don't think that happens. I can't remember that happening. If it does, I'm sorry. Lucemon comes back and he tries to absorb all the darkness from Nene and her crossloader, but he can't control it, and both of them are absorbed. And then, at the end of the episode, we get the Digimelody of Dipenmon. So if you want a Dipenmon on your crossloader, now is your chance. I'm sorry, but I really, really like that mechanic, okay?
You're allowed. It's wrong, but you're allowed.
No, I'm pretty sure it is a fun mechanic if you're 8 years old. What do you think of all 3 of these episodes as someone who's new to Digimon?
Like, I guess it doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere, is the problem. Even now that there's this big evil mist, I just feel like we're wasting time, because the goal of get the code crowns is really nebulous, and also we have no idea how many zones there are, so it does just feel like we're not exactly going in just circles, but it feels like it.
Right. So how would you rate, I guess, all the episodes together?
The first one was, it had a lot of good like cinematography, honestly, but largely as a story, it was not that interesting. It didn't even like, and it's a huge problem when it says like Beelzemon in the title, because literally when things were like at their lowest point, and I literally had a moment where I go, oh, I don't know how they're going to get out of this. Wait a minute, and I just go, oh no, it's in the title. Of course, Beelzemon is going to show up.
And the original has always had that problem where it says something that happens in the last 5 minutes, and they did that with the Tactimon showing up episodes. Like, the episode title was Tactimon Shows Up, and it should have been like Tactimon shows up in the last 5 minutes of the episode, and also some stuff happens for the other 20 minutes. I don't know, it's like, I feel like it's a bit of a problem that a lot of seasons of Digimon have. They're just like, oh, here's the big thing that happens in the end of the episode. Like Vamdemon comes back. That was in the original title. In the episode, he comes back at the end.
Frieza
Surprise.
defeated.
Yeah. Or the brave hero Leomon dies. Wow, I guess I know what's happening.
Don't worry about it. Just wait till the end of the episode and have hope that he'll be fine.
Yeah, oh, you know he dies, but also have some not him dying before you know he dies. I know, I gave these episodes, like, basically a 7. I enjoyed them. I like Sparrowmon. I'm excited there's more Sparrowmon. I'm excited there's more Nene. Very excited about Sparrowmon in general. I'm pretty happy. How did these episodes compare to predictions in Obnoxious Synopsis?
Okay, so for the first one, the idea that... I gotta go get my things up. I just don't want to be clicking around when we're on the air. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, if you have to, you have to.
Bam. Boom. Kapow. Alright, so... The first one I said that the kids fight the Digimon that surround them. It's true. So they make friends with the Beelzemon. Well, that was wrong. Obviously, he got reincarnated as one. And he never dances. Ever.
No.
What was up with that?
It sounds
Lies?
cool. No, it sounds cool, I guess.
Maybe in Japanese. I thought it'd be a 5, and honestly, it might be a 6, but otherwise, whatever. The second episode, so they got put on trial for a fake... I thought that the charges would be, like, clearly intentionally fake to mess with them, but it was just an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then the real bad guy showed up at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but they still legitimately broke the law.
No, they didn't, though. Oh, no, they did later, but the original thing was... even the really original thing, but it was weird actually.
No, but they made noise, which was against the law. They were on the grass, which is against the law, and then they just like this is before like the whole like broken thing, which turned out to not be them. Like,
and
they
the
broke
entire
bunch of
punishment,
rules.
the entire punishment they got was the sergeant like hitting Lucemon.
Yes.
So I guess I don't really buy the whole Lucemon thing. I think there's a problem with a story that is about like this outsider coming in and getting elected, and that story right next to all the facts of like he's been here for years and he is the nicest person they've ever met. It's just like it's way too much commitment. It's like, oh, he's been having this plan for years and years and years, and I just don't believe it.
Right.
I don't know. I think they could have done it better.
I see your point. I
feel like they could have had him be a new person who showed up and like had been trying really hard to change things because he'd been like that for years, and you could infer then that like that he was new and that they wouldn't have known him for forever, and then the observations of him that are close make more sense because we don't know you very well, but we thought we looked into you pretty good. In this case, he's been around long enough to read that entire library. When reading for 1 hour a day, he's been there for thousands of years.
Also, not to mention this made Shakurmon showing up, like, and being suspicious completely irrelevant. Like, I thought, like, oh, he's going to pop up at the end and say, no, but Lucemon's actually evil. But he didn't. He's just being suspicious. And him saying, but remember that paradise isn't what it seems. Like, why say that?
But that's why I think it was probably more accurate in the version that I had. Because the thing that they say in mine is much more cryptic, and I could imagine somebody who's writing it who knows what happens at the end being like, that probably doesn't translate correctly to English, but it probably does. It's just a silly line, and you would think that any smart, electoral observer would have communicated slightly more than that.
Yes.
In the last episode, I
thought
Lilithmon would come back and she'd be the main bad guy. And I guess not, because it's Lucemon fall down mode. Who saw that coming?
Well, he fell down. That's why you didn't see him coming.
And then Dark Knightmon is the Dark Knight. Surprise. And, I was totally wrong about that. And a 6 is perfectly reasonable for that.
Yeah, I feel like you rate them pretty fairly. What was the major difference between the Japanese and English version?
No.
You can't just say, like, the voice. Like,
it's really... It's incredibly distracting.
Oh, it is.
How can you watch Digimon when it's always like this?
Oh, okay, no, I see your point. It is a little bit distracting. Well, my difference was the one that I mentioned that I probably went on about for the most, which is /Angemon apparently always being evil because of the zone, instead of just like, oh, he had to be strict to keep the zone perfect, and that's why everything was so perfect, because otherwise it'll get corrupted. And I felt like that was a really bizarre change, that just like, oh, apparently /Angemon was evil, not just like he had to be because he had no other choice, and it was either that or the whole zone becoming corrupted. Also, /Angemon's name in general being changed is weird. I don't know. And my other change was Shoutmon being inspired and motivated and says, oh, look, I'll read. If it means I can become king, I'll read and I'll study. Don't wanna, but I will. And in the dub, he's just like, study? I don't want to study. Like, he's like aggressively against the idea of studying, instead of like, he's accepting it as a task that he has to undertake to become king. So do you have any other differences that you noticed in any of the episodes that really stood out to you?
What really got me, and it was really minor, but it's so strange, because Shakuramon is meant to be like a character that you take vaguely seriously. When they have this bit where they go, oh, a wise mon once said, whatever.
Yeah.
The complete undermining of that character as the electoral commissioner really bothered me.
Yeah, like he's meant to be a lot more serious than he actually turns out to be in the dub, and I guess that's a lot of characters. Any other changes?
Nothing major, just being really distracted by the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. Like, who thought that was actually a good idea to put in the show?
Well, like, I guess the Christopher Walken one went down so well. Like, no, we have to have more. What other voices can you do?
It went down well with me.
Yeah, true. I mean, like, the bit you saw and you remembered it, like, many years later. You don't remember anything about it except you remember that part. I don't know. It means it must be important, right?
It's
Clearly.
not important. That is not what that means.
So it turns out that Nene is evil. Gasp! And we find out that this is the first girl who is the Ken/Koichi of the series, meaning evil kid does bad things to the protagonists. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that we're still not confirmed that she's evil, but that she has plans outside of, what our characters are doing. But, I mean, yeah, they're doing it for a positive reason. Well, Taiki's doing it for a positive reason. But, like, from a technical perspective, Crossheart is just as much a conquering force as everyone else is.
So, do you think it's more like, I guess, brief Atmon spoilers for, like, 13 episodes in? Do you think it's more like the Ray?
Yes.
How it's like, oh, he's not actually evil, he's just doing something that's evil because the evil has some blackmail or something.
I mean, I think that there's more to it. I don't think they're just directly working with the bad guys, otherwise they would have assisted more directly the entire time.
Right. So do you have any predictions about Nene being evil? Like, what's her motivation for being evil?
I have no idea, man. She doesn't act in a way that's consistent with anything. She just hangs out with Yamato for no reason.
And flirts with everyone and likes strong people.
I guess.
And that's her character. She's evil and likes strong people. Same, to be honest. What are your thoughts on Baalmon's death and his resurrection?
I mean, it may as well not have been a death and resurrection, right? It may as well have been I evolved because of the circumstances. It's just slightly more complicated. My problem is
a little bit more, like, dramatic this way, though.
Well, yeah, but my problem is that now they have a Temple of Resurrection. So now is there no more tension anymore? If anyone ever dies, you just take them back here.
Yeah, but there'll be some reason why they can't return, like, the zone was lost in the sandstorm or something.
It's not, though. Like, it's just normal.
Yeah, but you could imagine them pulling that out, right? Like,
yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
They should have done that.
Or explained why it's like, oh, this is one use only. We were saving it for millennia for a true hero, and this is the time, or something.
Well, that would have been really annoying if they said that, actually.
But not surprising.
That is also true.
So, at this point, is it a surprise that Lucemon turned out to be evil?
I mean, it was, but only because I guess it's the sort of thing where they invested too much in the surprise, to the extent where it was such a surprise that it was stupid.
Right.
Like, he was the nicest character in the world. That line right at the beginning of, oh god, he's doing it again, calling our laws unjust and being nice, that was too much. Because now I don't believe that he was evil. Now I believe that you should be able to make characters feel like, oh yeah, that's what that character would do. Not like the script sure made him do that. You need to have the separation.
I think when I first saw this, I was surprised because at the start I was like, oh, a good Lucemon. And because we've seen in other seasons of Digimon that Digimon have changed alignment between seasons, like, for example, Gotsumon, who has basically been every single type of different role in every season. So actually it was surprising for me when I first saw this. Obviously now I know that he's evil because I've seen this episode before. I knew he was evil, but when I first watched this episode, I was actually surprised. I was just like, oh, I mean, I'm surprised, but I shouldn't be.
I can't say it's because you're a small child then, because you're still a small child now.
And yeah, I was also in university, so definitely not a small child. Like, at this point, any Digimon onwards from Cross Wars onwards is just like, I wasn't a small child when I watched this. If I have stupid opinions, it's because I formulated them as an adult, not as a child. Like, I really liked 02, and I still really like 02.
Mistakes.
I still will fight for 02. It has problems, but I still will fight for it. We had some Digimon that were introduced. Let's talk about them, Jay. Dark Knightmon.
It's really, like, he's just not... He's in that class of Royal Knight of, like, who's this guy? Who's this completely unmemorable nobody?
He's kind of stocky. I like him.
That's really all there is to it.
What about Beelzemon, all new, all different?
Quick, you say that again?
Beelzemon, all new, all different. He's got a new design. He's all new, all different.
I guess. I remember saying something about a Robo Beelzemon. It's a bit like that.
I guess he's sort of Robo. He also has wings now.
I feel like the old one had it, but I guess not the leather jacket one, but the one that after it evolves.
Blast mode.
Yeah, it's like that. That had wings, right?
Yeah, it did.
That's why I'm not shocked by it at all.
Yeah. What about High Mugendramon, who is just Mugendramon but red?
420 Mugendramon, you mean?
True.
Well, he's just Mugendramon but red. What do you want me to say?
What about Gargoylemon, who is Vmon with, I think, the Digimental of Light?
I don't know what a Gargoylemon is.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I love him. I love him so much.
What about Slush Angemon?
Nah, he's the best Digimon you've ever seen.
Okay, what about Slush Angemon, though?
How does he do paperwork? He doesn't have fingers.
He cuts into the paper. It's very threatening.
It's a weird design. That's what I'm trying to say.
I love him. That's what I'm trying to say. I love all of them. Sparrowmon's still the best, though. Any more thoughts on Sparrowmon before we continue?
The voice is really beginning to bother me.
I love it. So cute. Best friend. On to Postmon Pat, and first off, we'll start with a Rumble Arena.
Digimon Rumble Arena!
Oh god, this is back.
Yeah, it's a Patreon topic.
Wow.
So Anthony V asks and suggests, how would you feel if the human partners from previous seasons fought Digimon using weapons like Jeremy does in Cross Wars?
Fine with it? Like,
I would really like this.
Am I meant to be against this?
Well, I'm super for it, so...
But, like, I was for it when, what's-his-name, Masaru punched them, so I'm good with it. Like, I don't mind.
I really like it. Like, it's
you know what?
Like, yeah?
I'll take the other side, if only because I don't want them to do it and have Digimon partners of their own, right? The whole reason you fight a Digimon with a weapon is because you don't have, like... Oh, no, Masaru had one. No, take it back. That's totally fine. Do it. It's
yeah,
cool.
like, I like it because it's just like, what have the children done in previous seasons? Stood and watched.
Okay, but it only works against the small Digimon. Can't be like Masaru, who's made of magic.
Okay, yeah, and true. Masaru actually was made out of magic. Like, they couldn't just go up against, like, a Venom Vamdemon or something. Or, like, a huge Digimon, like, I don't know, Mugendramon. Like, it would have to be something that was just, like, not too big. Masaru is also crazy, but also magic. Anything else you want to say about that topic?
I'm sorry that this isn't a big controversial issue, but, like, you know what? We could make a bit out of this if you want to say, like, what weapons people would use.
I want to see, like, for some reason, I don't know why this came to my head, but Hikari with, like, double daggers? I don't know why.
That's incredibly random.
I don't know why, just sort of, like, but imagine, like, she just, like, has them in her scarf, and she pulls them out, she's like, swing, swing, swing! I don't know, it'd be cool.
You are such a weeb, it hurts.
I don't know, I think it'd be cool.
I would give Izzy a gun.
No, give Mimi, like, a really, like, give her, like, 2 shotguns. I know they're not possible to wield, but it look cool. I feel like Masaru just has, like, knuckle dusters or something. Like, I don't know, something on his hands to make him punch more.
It's big digi knuckle dusters.
Yeah, it's got, like, and it's on his neck, and he attached, like, a necklace or something. I don't know. Could be cool. I love Masaru so much. Sabers was so good.
Yeah, he's really good. Second best.
I think, like, Takato would have, like... I know, I feel like he'd have one of those...
Oh god, what have I done? There's too many children.
Like an inflatable thing, like an inflatable hammer. I'm just thinking of the ones that come to my mind. Not all of them. There are a lot of children. Mako would have the script.
TK would use a draft of his own book.
Paper cuts, right? Paper cuts are bad.
That's that Jimmy Havoc bit. He gets a piece of paper and runs it through, like, the webbing of your fingers.
Oh, they did that in Jackass, and one of the cameramen was sick.
What?
They did that in one of the cameramen in the Jackass show. Like gets sick really easily. Like he sees anything and he's sick. And they were doing the paper cut and the webbing, and he just started throwing up. It was disgusting. But yeah, no, that
I
looks
don't
really
like
painful.
that.
Neither do I. There are parts of Jackass which I like, and there's parts that I don't like. But yeah, no, he gives them paper cuts. I don't know, for some reason, I feel like Mimi would be a professional wrestler, I don't know why. Eri also has knuckle dusters. Astra throws Apple iPads at people.
Okay, I'm totally out of steam on this issue. I don't know what weapons they would use.
Haru throws books!
Does he? Doesn't he read the books?
Oh yeah, he wouldn't want it. I think he will try to. Like, I'm gonna throw this at you after I finish this chapter. I don't know. I love Haru. I love Atmon.
Go away, me busy.
Busy. But can't fight. Busy reading about artificial intelligence to save my boyfriend. On to the rest of Postmon Pat?
Yes.
Okay, I will read the non-try comments, and then Jay will continue on to read all the comments we got about try. Obviously, we won't talk about anything else after I say, hey, we're going to talk about try now. So if you haven't seen chapter 6 yet, you might just want to skip out of Postmon Pat at that point. But we'll let you know. We'll signpost it. So on With the Will, our first non-try comment is from Chakmon, and Chakmon says, loving the depth of consequences using Digisoul in Next, and the chrome Digisoid clothes are pretty cool. The enemies have all been really good. The only negative is how hung up everyone gets with the levels. Every fight they just want to give up because, oh, this guy's a perfect ultimate, we'll never beat him. And I actually do like that. Like, they're just sort of like, they're actually acknowledging the levels. They're saying, hey, we can't fight this too strong. But like, if that's like the only negative that someone has about Digimon Next, like, I'm pretty confident. Like, I don't know, that feels pretty good. Have you read any Digimon Next yet?
I have not. I have not made the time or bothered. Because it's Digimon
good
content I don't have to read. And that's my favourite kind.
Ah, true. But it is quite good.
Also, they should get hung up on levels, because that says a lot about the world. I haven't read it, though, so maybe they do that all the time, about the same levels.
It's only when they're, like, ultimate level Digimon come up and, like, oh, we can only evolve to adult. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's reasonable, but I can see that it is quite common as soon as they come across a perfect or ultimate. They're like, oh, we can only get to adult. We'll die. Whoops.
I mean, that thing that was really awesome in V-Tamer, how he fought them anyway.
Yeah, Taichi never cared, because he's got 0. I know. I love V-Tamer. V-Tamer was good. Our second and last non-try related comment is from Tsurugi. And Tsurugi says, the idea of Tactimon being a jilted lover of Droolemon's pretty funny. And in episode 11 of the dub, when Mikey is saying how he needed Angie. Yes, mentioning sandwiches was stupid, but Tsurugi says that they found it nice how even he knows how dumb that sounded. And he acknowledges Angie's been there for him since the beginning, for good or bad. It's not as really mean-spirited as we've seen in dubs previously. And yeah, I know, I agree with that.
Finally, kids that don't hate each other.
And that's nice. It is nice when the children aren't all being terrible. Like, I remember in 02, like, no one liked Davis in the dub. And I was like, yeah, Davis is awful. But like,
no one should like him.
Yeah.
I hate him. I still hate him.
Tsurugi continues to say, Revolmon being blue makes him look like a Nerf toy. I'm like, yeah, that's probably the intention, right? I think. But yeah,
to make sure it doesn't look like a real gun. Big orange tip on him.
Yeah, also they should have had the big orange tip. Tsurugi then says, as for Next, the art of the manga was done by Takeshi Okano, best known for the art of Jigoku Sensei Nube, a horror comedy manga. So that might explain some of the body horror. I think the answer to Wanyamon is what Wanyamon is rather simple. He's a cat dog, not the Nickelodeon show, or at least a fusion, since he has the Japanese onomatopoeia of woof and meow in his name. I never actually thought about that, but yeah, it's one and nya.
I picked that up like immediately. The moment I did not. Wanyamon and cat dog was said.
Yeah. And now, Jay, do you want to read the comments about Try? And obviously, if you're listening to this, skip to the outro, because we're going to be talking about Try.
We have a bunch about this. Wow. So, we got a Gmail from Jason who says, they have mixed feelings on Try. They want to rank them as like 3, then 6, 2, 5, 1, and 4. Presumably best to worst. They couldn't tell us why, or if 6 is so high. Yeah, because they just finished it today. But looking at the rankings, that's how they'd rank them. Fair enough, I wouldn't agree, but to each their own. We got one from Logan who says, Try is Hurricane Touchdown. Ooh, never a greater indictment of Digimon has there ever been.
Yikes.
A new kid with Digimon who's had their Digimon since a major event with chosen children. The Digimon has a virus. As the Digimon evolves, the new kids never mention the name of the evolved forms and can only use the name of the form that they knew. The main characters from previous seasons are missing aside from TK and Hikari. Both Seraphimon and Holydramon appear and are used to make the main kid's Digimon evolve further. The new kid lives somewhere other than Odaiba and won't be around in the next season. Their Digimon is was killed, and maybe Dark Genai sprouted from the Darkspawn. We've already established he did not sprout from the Darkspawn Genai's back because the real Genai is in the tube. However, most of those are legit, and I love those comparisons, even though you can see where they're really stretching to like vague it up so it sounds similar. Like
I know, I feel like all of them sound pretty similar, and also like I feel like in our show we actually joked about it being Hurricane Touchdown. But
boy, did we ever.
I didn't actually think about it to this extent of like, oh, it's very similar. Like the whole new kid, Digimon has a virus, Digimon dies, kid moves away, doesn't have to be in any more seasons.
Never see them again.
But I actually liked that we find out that that's why she's not in the epilogue, because she moved away. That's why Meikimon's not there. She's dead. Like, I don't know, I feel like that had to be the outcome. Like, they had to go, both or one of them had to die and one of them had to move away or something.
I mean, I more or less agree, but that's, again, Bleach filler structure.
Yeah.
We got a message on Reddit, or a comment, I think, from K Braid. I'm freaked out, so that said K Brad, the FGC guy. K Braid. It says, I broke when Mako did her best to hold it together, just long enough to say goodbye before immediately breaking afterwards. You see, the mistake you made was caring about Mako. And on the topic of running out of budget, I felt that it couldn't have been more obvious when Discount Ryo's Digivice was just a cylinder with lines along the sides. That is right. If you're going to put money into anything, maybe the thing that makes Digimon. I got one from Whiskey9. If they do another try thing, just do a drama CD or a series of drama CDs. I reckon it'd be a lot less of a hassle to produce than having like 6 long episodes with varying levels of quality for the animation. Fair enough. I'm not sure those drama CDs would sell at all outside of Japan, but fair. The drama CDs have apparently been like some of the best stuff Digimon's ever produced, so I can't argue with it. We got one from McGann on With the Will, who says they'll rank Future up with Confession. The former had a much greater spectacle, and the latter had much more well-executed drama. The ending did feel off, because Try felt like it was meant to be big and important, but it ended up feeling really small. They enjoyed Try even if it was messy, but they did enjoy the ride. One thing they really liked about Try was how it explored growing up in relation to nostalgia. I enjoyed how they did that in the first 2 episodes as well, and then they forgot about it. Because it became a big dumb Digimon adventure.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Adventure Try.
And they gave a rating, which was that 3 is better than 1, which is 1, 2, and 6 are all about the same, and they're better than 4, which is better than 5. But they're all worse than the stage play.
I agree. Like, I forgot the stage play in the ranking, but stage play is still better than anything in Try.
Because stage play directly addressed that issue of growing up in nostalgia and like what it means, but it did it succinctly in like 2 hours and had fun with it, and you had all these good callbacks, and there was no weird other character to distract everyone from their own interrelationships. It was just what Try needed to be. We went from BXB Digimon fan. Buddy, you're on the wrong podcast. Digimon, we don't talk about that here.
What's Digimon?
I have no idea. Is that like Metabots? They didn't discuss the Twitter post on the new project since it wasn't mentioned in the Try special. What do you think it could be?
I think we did mention it.
We speculated this.
Yeah.
Which is that we don't know, but we hope it's not adventure.
And I feel like...
But it probably is.
This is interesting that, like, how the fandom have changed of, like, hey, more adventure to no more adventure ever.
Well, it's just... I think that it dragged. It's been like 3 years. And then it was not worth it. I wish I had tried...
Like it was such a build-up. Like, everyone... Like, remember how much we, like... PV, we'll talk about it. And everyone was really excited to, like, speculate and have theories. And all the theories turned out to be better than what happened.
So they say, you talked about Try not being needed to connect the 0-2 in the epilogue, but it was never needed for that. And, I mean, I agree, nothing was. That's what I said in the episode. But obviously it was one of their objectives in Try to, like, draw the line from adventure to the epilogue. That's why you have Matt saying at the end, I'm going to go to space. Why would he ever say that? That's a weird thing for him to say.
And we also had Taichi, and even in Chapter 1, we sort of had some inkling of, like, oh, so that's how he gets into being a diplomat. And so that's, and he shows to really pull up his socks and want to do extra classes in Chapter 6. So it connects it enough, and that's fine. And even in Chapter 2, Sora's being a fashion designer, and Mimi's making weird food. Like, everything's sort of, like, linking up to where it's meant to be. Joe's stressing about being a doctor, and in the epilogue, not actually a human doctor. Koshiro has his own, like, office, basically. Like, everyone's sort of linking up to what they're meant to do. And I feel like it's linked up enough to the epilogue, and it doesn't need to be, but it's linked up enough that it's nice. I don't know, I like it.
So this next comment is quite interesting. They said that Try was neither a waste of time, nor was it meant to explain everything about adventure. It seems like a setup for something. Now, I agree. It really feels like the reintroduction to the world in advance of something else. But it would only have been effective as that if it had been released over the course of, like, maybe 6 months. 3 years is way too long.
Like, how many episodes did we end up having on Crunchyroll? 26? Like, if these were released 1 week after each other, and we're 26 weeks in, and now we get another 26 episodes of, like, what's happening now? That's fine. Takes less than a year.
That would have taken just over 6 months if they released them 1 a week.
Yeah, 1 a week, and then for the rest of Try, like the hypothetical rest of Try would be maybe another 26 episodes. That's like a full year, basically. 26 plus 26, 52, 1 a week, maybe a bit more because
and then you would end up with a full season at the end of it. What they've done instead is they've made 6 movies, and they took actually 6 times as long as it should have taken.
Yes.
And at the end of it, I think everyone's burned out. At least I feel burned out, and that seems to be the impression you get from the community, which is the only way I get an impression from the community, because I don't know those people.
Also, the interesting thing is that everyone was saying, more Tamers, hey, let's do another Tamers reboot. And I haven't, and this is like the longest I've gone without seeing anybody say, when's Tamers reboot? Because everybody is scared.
And yet, now everyone's like, no, do a new thing. That's totally unrelated.
Like, I'm not saying Try is bad or that I didn't enjoy Try. I'm just like, personally, I found it disappointing. And I felt like it is a very hard job for anything to live up to the hype of how the fandom put it.
We got one from Chuckmon, who says they like the idea that a partner Digimon can save you or drive you mad. And they're glad that the final call wasn't Taichi asking Meiko on a date. Although it was pretty heavily implied that was what he wanted to do. Else he wouldn't have been so embarrassed. And that was all the things they liked. All the things they didn't like. They didn't like how the 02 kids worked it all out, but didn't include TK and Kari. The 02 kids' inclusion was rushed. And also how they got sidelined the entire time.
Yeah.
They didn't like Maki not showing up ever again after she walked into the Dark Ocean. They didn't like Meikumon's death. Meiko deserved better. We deserved better. She should have been able to be saved. The did Taichi die cliffhanger. Even if the epilogue didn't exist, they don't think anyone thought Taichi was ever in any real danger of dying. This should not have been attempted with this character. It didn't deliver. It couldn't deliver. That's a really fair point. You know the future because you know the epilogue. Which means you can't build any tension about Taichi dying. You can't build any pathos of like, oh, these characters are sad, because you as the audience could not possibly believe that he had died. It's like they didn't expect anyone who's watching Try to have watched Digimon before, which makes no sense because no one will watch this if they hadn't watched Digimon before. And the last thing they said that they didn't like was Hikari's breakdown. It seemed out of character, though it wasn't. They were also weren't concerned about Taichi being dead. So Hikari's reaction in the aftermath didn't draw them into the story. And
I think that was very much her character, because her random plot convenience sickness has happened before. So like,
because she believes that he died.
Yeah.
And the last thing is they ranked them 2, 4, 1, 3, 5, 6. 3 is really low on that list. Really low. And 4 is weirdly high.
I really like seeing, and I sent out like a request on Twitter for people to also rank their favourite Digimon seasons. And it's just amazing how different people rank things. Like some people put 02 first or Adventure first, and others put Tamers down the bottom. Like that, there's a wide range of opinions, and some people put Atmon just in the middle, or some people put like Savers at the top and Tamers at the bottom. Like that is just, it is interesting how people can like differ so wildly from what we think or what other people think, and that's really cool. So that means chapters 4 did do something right for some people, and might not have done it right for us.
I mean, the first 2 minutes were good.
What happened in chapter 4?
Wasn't that the one where we saw the kids?
Oh yeah, the one of my favourite moments in all of chapter 4, like all of the Digimon Adventure Tribe, was the first of chapter 4, first like couple of minutes of chapter 4.
Exactly.
Because it pleased me. It pleased my little child within me who was asking that question for years.
And apparently you were right. That was cool.
Yay,
and then it was totally wasted forever.
Yep, when they weren't relevant ever again.
Alright everybody, join us on the next episode of Non Biori, Clash in the Clouds.
Or The Miraculous Digicross, Shoutmon Cross 5 Flies. Yeah.
Spoilers. Also, that's the English, that must be times 5.
No, that's the
Oh no,
Japanese.
right. Clash in the Clouds will probably be English. Or Welcome to the Jungle Zone.
Or Stingmon, the Great Digimon Forest Hero.
And Rumble in the Jungle Zone. They can't do Welcome to the Jungle and Rumble in the Jungle. It's too similar.
Or the legendary Decadramon Moves.
Decadramon.
Decadramon.
Okay.
Happy birthday to Anthony V for May 1st. We mentioned this in the Try episode, but because maybe not everyone's going to be watching listening to the Try episode, I just thought I'd put it in this one as well. So you get 2 happy bird baths.
Happy bird birth.
The link dump's linked in the description, and a Redbubble is also linked in the description, and you can get more than just shirt set too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will, and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, and we would appreciate if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use, because ratings really assist people finding out about the podcast. And we have a website where you can vote in polls, check out our release schedule, and check out our blog posts. And you can also donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, from as little as $1 a month. And that gets you access to a list of Slack chat group, but there are higher levels with more rewards such as notes, early episodes, and more.
And thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who hosts a Digimon and Pokemon podcast with Stevie called the Moncast, Stevie, who's Stevie Panmon on Tumblr and is currently taking commissions there, Metalmon, Joe, Anime Guy, who's Anime Guy Kurosaki and the #1 on YouTube, Chuckmon, Hirolato, who's @Hirolato on Twitter, Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who's Frostmoradic on Archive Our Own, and Inca.com/Ryden Allen, Stephen Reeves, who's @Wildwing64, who is Wildwing64 on Archive of Our Own, Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, the Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can find at bagkuburagu.wordpress.com, Glitchgoat, Azrael McCool, Gene Hackmon, who hosts the New World Sonata, a sci-fi fantasy audio drama podcast, Matthew, Anthony, who is at Antoclassic on Twitter, Lizmet, who is a Lekmon on Tumblr, Sithobi, Sporky, McForkinspoon, who hosts a Digimon podcast called Going Digital, Megan, Kyliak, Neobu, the Time Optimist, Silverhead Freak 25, who is at SHF25tweets on Twitter, Harvey, Nicholas, Anthony V, happy birthday again, Harrison, and Michael.
You can also make one donation on our PayPal, which can be found in the description. It's paypal.me/edgymon. Make sure to listen to the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye!
満ちた明日をつかむ怨念立ち空を舞う者輝